what were the biggest challenge you faced when you were playing during the 2014, 2015, when you are at the best of your time in poker games?
Well, so I mean, the the one thing I'll say there about poker is at times like that you don't really feel many challenges. Like it's just it's weird. It feels like poker shouldn't be as streaky as it is, but I've just had times in my poker career where I just felt kind of so down. I felt like I can't win. Every tournament I bust is I'm kind of questioning myself. I'm kind of thinking, am I still beating these guys? Am I maybe giving away some tells? Am I not studying enough? Am I studying too much? Am I not sleeping enough? You kind of question everything when it's going bad. And sort of throughout that 2014, 2015 era, I was just kind of winning. So it was easy to just, it was easy to not be too concerned. I think 2012, I had a losing year. And that was like, the challenges faced were definitely like, more, it matters more when you have, like when you're actually in the kind of face of adversity rather than when you're on top. Like when when you go tournament to tournament and, you keep being the bubble boy, you're investing in players who are losing, you're just kind of, you're studying, but it's maybe not paying off, like when you have that environment, I feel like that's much more the test of who has it and who doesn't in poker. Like it's one thing to be in a good mood when you're winning. It's another to be able to kind of recover from the downswing when you're losing, both from a, financial standpoint, but also kind of like an emotional and work ethic standpoint where, most of a downswing, it's not even about the money. It's kind of about the toll it takes on your confidence, and how you kind of overcome that. And so I think that was, those are, I think, the better kind of scenarios or questions to look at. Like how do you deal with, when things are the worst they've ever been, kind of thing. So
Yeah, I guess every player has a period of time like that. I'm sure there are a lot of my audience who are in their early 20s or just new to poker, but they start to making a profit. And then at some point, they may think, okay, why don't I do this for a living? Why don't I spend more time on this? And I wasn't sure like what kind of advice to give to them, because I know it's a very risky decision, and there will be a lot of thought process and decision making process. And what would you suggest to them that the things they need to really think about it, then make a decision?
Yeah, so I mean, I guess the one thing I would kind of comment on is, as you're moving up through the stakes, a lot of things you like, the situations that you've been presented with at lower stakes, the same types of things will happen at mid stakes and will happen at high stakes. How you deal with the downswing, how you manage your finances and things like that. To where, I think if you're seriously considering poker, like the two comments I would make, especially early on in this tougher environment, are one, if you're doing well, you're probably your best investment, kind of thing. I think a lot of people have this idea that, okay, you're making some money, you should go put some in stocks, or you should go invest in some real estate, or things like that. But especially when you're in that stage where it's like you're going through, you go from a year ago you were making $200 a week, now you're making $1,500 a week or something. Well, that's a pretty nice trajectory. But if you're withdrawing $1,500 a week to go and buy stocks, or whatever it happens to be, you're not building a bankroll, and you're not going to be able to increase that further, kind of thing. So I think, the one thing I would say is just playing in a way that, if you have kind of set goals of where you want to be, the kind of, the more that you withdraw, the more that you move away from poker, it kind of gets in the way of your kind of poker progress, I suppose. So, I think if you're pursuing it, I would focus on, kind of, always playing within your bankroll, but kind of giving yourself as much bankroll as possible by not kind of taking it, outside of your, what you treat as your poker money. And then adding to that, the other comment I would make is that, if you're in a spot where things you're improving rapidly, your stakes are going up rapidly, like anything you kind of want to buy or spend on, if you want to go buy a car, okay, maybe if you waited 9 months, you can buy that car without it having to move down in stakes, kind of thing. So I think a lot of people, when they and this, like, when you're in that growth part of your career, like, it's one thing if you're thinking about playing seriously and you made the same amount this year as last year as the year before. Okay, it doesn't matter as much. But if you're kind of had that exponential type curve where every 6 months you're making twice as much as you were the 6 months before, you want to kind of keep that growing, because I've known a lot of players over the years who probably what's prevented them from ever getting to high stakes or getting to playing the big live events and whatnot was kind of spending too much or gambling too much on sports, or withdrawing too much to do other safer investments early on. Whereas if you're improving, if things are going well, like, I think it's unlikely that many investments out there are going to be better than investing in yourself if you're really giving poker your all. Even if you're thinking, coaching from this great player is too expensive, maybe I'll get it eventually. If you can invest in coaching from that great player, it's probably going to help you out more than than a few expensive dinners or whatever the alternative would be. So I would say from that perspective, there's like I think a lot of people who have the talent don't, they hurt themselves from things kind of away from the tables more than things at the tables. Like, I don't have too much as far as as far as specific poker advice. Join this site, go, raise these hands from under the gun. I'm not giving poker specific advice, but I'm saying away from poker, there are a lot of things that kind of don't get touched on as much. And I would kind of, recommend those things.